We're going to be starting the season in the Space Theater with The Voisey Inheritance. This is a David Mamet adaptation of a Harvey Granville Barker play, a popular thriller in 1905. It was an Edwardian version of the scandals that are rocking Wall Street today. It's sort of a show that you could rip from the headlines today. It's about a family, wealthy family of privileged English. The men are lawyers and investment bankers by and large. The third generation son, the third generation partner in this firm, discovers just before his father dies that the first and second generation, namely his grandfather and his father, have been running the business as a Ponzi scheme. He confronts his father dies. He confronts his siblings who don't really want to give up their trust funds, even though it's not their money. And the play is a drama, but it has a fair amount of comedy because the family behaves badly, as you might suspect. And in the end, a family friend confronts him and says, I want to pull out all the money, a friend of his father. And he doesn't know about the Ponzi scheme. And so the son confesses what's happened. He spent the last year and a half trying to put everything he can back into people's accounts to restore the money. And the wealthy friend says, after thinking about it, okay, I won't turn you into the authorities if you pay me first. And the son says, no. Interesting play. In the Stage Theater, that'll be directed by Bruce Seavey. In the Stage Theater, Raisin in the Sun, which we've never produced at the DCTC. Obviously, you know this play well, an American classic. The first play by a playwright of color, female playwright of color, to be on Broadway. Set in the late 50s, African-American family in Chicago. The father has died. The insurance settlement means they can realize the American dream. The problem is the son wants to invest in the liquor store. The daughter wants to go to medical school, and mama wants to buy a house in a formerly all-white suburban neighborhood. A really interesting drama, very moving story, uplifting story. The money gets squandered in some ways, but the family comes together. That'll be directed by Israel Hicks. Third person singular in the Space Theater at the Holidays. This is by Alan Ayckbourn. It's another play set at Christmas Eve, at 3 successive Christmas Eves in 3 different kitchens of the 3 couples in the play. They are 3 couples at different levels of socioeconomic aspiration. There's the couple that's married to the architect whose wife is somewhat suicidal because their marriage is in such terrible shape. There's the couple the guy that's kind of from the working class that's starting to make good by building essentially kind of ticky-tacky houses in suburbs. And then there's the aristocratic, genteel couple. It's very funny, very dark, an adult play at Christmas by the same author of Season's Greetings. In the Stage Theater, we'll be producing A Christmas Carol. In the Ricketson Theater at the Holidays, we'll be producing Well by Lisa Kron. This is an autobiographical play that was off-Broadway in New York, then moved to Broadway. Lisa Kron is a performance artist who wrote a play about her relationship with her mother and her relationship with wellness, health. Her mother was either a hypochondriac but certainly an invalid when she was growing up in Lansing, Michigan. But she was also the woman in her neighborhood that decided we really need to integrate this all-white neighborhood and actually pulled it off. Lisa Kron is a very funny play. It breaks the fourth wall. She's trying to create this play about her mother. Her real mother is actually a character in the play, keeps interrupting, correcting her memory, talking to the audience, asking what soda they might like to drink. Very funny play. These 2 characters and 4 actors that play every character known to man. The actors actually start preferring the mother to the playwright performer. Interesting play, and that'll be produced in the Ricketson Theater. In the winter, we'll be doing 2 world premieres as part of our Colorado New Play Summit. We'll be doing the adaptation, Eric Schmiedl's adaptation of Eventide, which is our sequel to Plainsong. Obviously, this follows through with the McFerrin brothers and another story with Luther and Betty Wallace about a couple that is mentally challenged and trying to raise children not very successfully. Wonderful show about how do you deal with grief and loss and go on. How do you find love and family and community after you deal with such a profound loss. We had hoped in our season when we did Eventide to produce both Eventide and Plainsong in rep. the economic downturn and the things we were facing meant that wasn't possible. We decided to move ahead with Eventide, which we think will be another very moving story. In the Space Theater, we're going to do that wild and crazy play, When Tang Met Laika, another DCTC commission. As you know, Rogelio Martinez, a lot of people apparently don't know what Tang is today. It's the orange drink the space program discovered and we all drank when we were baby boomers growing up. But Laika was the dog the Soviets picked off the streets, shot into space, never to return. And the play is really a very imaginative play about the Soviets and Americans over 30 years in the Cold War, after the Cold War, trying to figure out how to build the International Space Station. 2010, by the way, when the play will premiere, is the scheduled end of the official end of the Space Shuttle program. So it's a really interesting play. Our third world premiere will happen in the spring slot, and that will be Randal, Myler, and Danny Wheetman's Mama Hated Diesels. Randy and Dan have created hits at Denver Center before, Fire on the Mountain, It Ain't Nothing But the Blues, Love Janice. This is a musical portrait of truckers and trucker music. They've gone around the country, they've interviewed truckers, the people that drive 16-wheelers, and bring us all the stuff that we in America seem to need so badly. And it's the music that they love. And it's a wonderful show that will be a musical review. In the Space Theater, in the spring slot, we'll be doing a DCTC premiere, although the NTC did it a couple of years ago, Othello by Shakespeare, obviously. It should prove very exciting. I'll be directing this. I'm very excited to do it in the Space Theater because the play is, often I think the play is mistaken for the opera, and you do it on a theater like the Stage, and you have to turn it into an opera scenically and costume-wise. In my experience, when you can do it in a contained space, particularly a space in the round, it's very exciting because ultimately it's a play about 2, 3, 4 character scenes, and it's a psychological drama. And the closer the audience is to it, the more painful it is and the more profound the experience is because they get to watch it happen before their eyes. The last show of our season will be in the Ricketson Theater. It'll be Mariella in the Desert by Karen Zacharias. This is a really interesting play about a famous painter, Mexican-American painter living in northern Mexico with his wife, who at one time was also a painter. Their daughter is becoming a famous painter, and they trick the daughter coming back by telling her, because she doesn't want to talk to her parents or be around her parents, by telling her that the father's died, and then she comes home and discovers, no, that isn't true. It's darkly funny, but it's about a lot of things. The most famous painting he ever did he really paint it? He's been stuck for 20 years. He hasn't been able to paint another picture. And what's the deal with the 18-year-old son that keeps appearing? Is he a ghost? Is he a spirit? Is he the son? What happened to him? So it's a really mystery story in the Ricketson.